Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So as promised, I said that I'm going to do a portrait drawing tutorial with the pen. So let's get right into the video. I don't want to make it too long, so I'm dividing it into two parts. So this is going to be the part 1, mainly the face features, and the next feature will be for the hair. So in this tutorial, I normally do use grid method for my portraits to get an accurate sketch. So what I'm doing now is, after the grid method, I sketch out my reference, and I have a reference for this. So after the reference, I sketch everything out and make sure my sketch is accurate. All this is going to be done with the pencil. Then the first feature of the face is the eye. I normally do start my sketch by shading with the eye. So I just start with a light approach with my pen so that I get the shade more darker according to the reference. I don't go dark instantly. I start with a light shade with a light pressure, then gradually increase the tone and darkness in specific areas of the eye. So me starting off with the eye is more like giving me an idea of how my drawing will look like and how I play with the dark and light shade. So after finishing the first part, I go to the second part with the eyes. What I'm using here, the technique I'm using here is basically arching and cross arching. There is no specific or special way to make portrait with pen. It's just that the way we approach pen drawing is different from pencil. In pen drawing, we use the additive method, while in pencil, you use the subtractive method using a kneaded eraser to bring out the highlight. But for pen, your highlight is based on your light stroke, how easy how you handle your pen. So after the sketches and the shade in the eye, I move to the nose and make the shading according to what I see in my reference. I start off lightly, then increase the tone, leave areas where there's light, where light bounces, and make sure my pen strokes don't go into those areas to have so that it can have a realistic look. Then after finishing the nose, the next thing to do is go to the mouth. The mouth always have a very trickish way of shading. First I layer it with cross hatching, then later I use contour shading. In my last tutorial I talked about contour shading. So I use contour shading for the lower lips. So after that I move to the forehead. Basically just hatching and cross hatching, mapping out where my light falls and where the dark tone falls, then start shading process. So I continue shade until I get a perfectly smooth and blended transition between my light and dark tone. Then the lines you see me leaving here is more like a light a light tone on the forehead, but not that light. It not be easily visible. So I try to blend these lines together and make them look more realistic and make sure my pen strokes don't get too deep in that area. So I move to the other, that is the right part, the left part of the chin and the cheek, left part of the face. So what I do here is get start with the dark place where the light bounce off and get some specific shade before shading the overall face. So after just what I'm just using here, just cross hatching. So as you can see, there's no special technique needed or anything. You just have to be patient with what you are doing. You don't need to rush it because this is a pen work and it's very crucial. When you make a single mistake, you ruin your whole work. And I move to the other parts of the face, and basically I'm just repeating the technique and the steps following what I see on my reference. Make sure you don't have to overdo yourself, don't have to add what you know is not in the reference. Just follow the reference and be simple. Don't need to add what will make the work look like as if it's not coming together. Just follow the reference and give a very simple touch. Light pressure, where there's dark areas you increase the pressure, where there's middle tone you just increase the pressure is a little bit, just slightly, and the darkest tone you add pressure on the paper very well so that you can achieve that tone. So I make some adjustments on the lips and under the nose. Then the shadow that falls under the lower lips, I try to make that with a dark shade, just a single dark stroke. Then I move to the other parts of the body, that is the arm and the shoulder part, and try to map out where my dark tone and light tone is going to fall. Just basically cross hatching and hatching, no other technique needed. Unless I want to do a very hyper realistic work, then I bring in other technique. This is just a tutorial to show you how I approach most of my portrait works when it comes to pen. It's as easy as that. If you are very good in pencil work, then pen work should not be a problem to you. So most beginners do be like, pen is very easy, it's very hard to learn and master, and it's not it's not true at all. When you know the technique ballpoint pen artists use, yours is just to practice those techniques, see how you can apply it, and see various ways other artists apply it also. So what I'm doing here is I just map out where my dark shade will fall and where my light shade will fall, and I start off with a light shade, then bring in each individual tones together. So that is just me shading the area of the neck, and this is a part of the hand, just shading it. And make sure when your grid is too thick, that is too dark, try to use an eraser to erase some of it so that the pencil strokes won't show while you are shading, and it will make your work look much okay. Because when those pencil lines are overlaying your pen strokes, it gives a very rough kind of shading. It won't bring out the beauty in your pen work. So basically what I'm doing here is just arching and cross arching and following what I see in my reference. Nothing much. If you see most pen artists do well, it's just because there's no special technique needed or anything. It's just you, your pen and your paper. And when you want to start off with pen work, start off with something you know you can easily achieve, something you can easily go with without facing much difficulty. Then later on, when you see that your level of mastering the pen is grown to a particular level, then you can increase the difficulty and try something much harder. That is, but what I see now is most beginners want to just jump into hyperrealism without starting off with basic things, something that will sharpen their knowledge and something that will sharpen their knowledge in drawing. So that is what I just do in most of my portrait work. Nothing much, nothing less. Just me, my pencil, my pen, the paper, and my reference. And I start off with basically arching and cross arching. Cross arching is one of the most used technique pen artists use in most of their work, be it hyperrealism, realism, abstract, or any other form of art. So next week we will talk about how to shade the air with the pen. So thanks for watching and see you in my next tutorial. Bye.